Quote of the week: sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but you've actually been planted. Welcome, everybody. It's Jason Barlow, RMT, and I'm here today as your therapist and as your coach to help you transform your stress, your tension, and your pain into health, happiness, and vitality. This week's quote, very powerful for me. Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but you've actually been planted. I want you to think about your own life at this point. What dark times have you had? What dark places have you been in? Have you felt like you've been buried, that the weight's been significant on your shoulders? You know, just when one thing's going wrong, it seems like there's multiple things going wrong. They're dark places, they're dark times. We all have them. We're all going to continue to have them. For me, ultimately, it's how we choose to respond. Our mental attitude becomes our real fortitude in life in taking these problems on. As I've talked before, we have two types of problems: inner problem and outer problem. And the outer problems, these dark places that we get into, will never go away, but we can choose to have an alternative space in our mind. That's our real problem. How we respond. Our unpleasant feelings are our real dark place. And as we spiritually start to turn things around, as we've experienced in life, that's when we realize, oh, wow, if I hadn't gone through that struggle and that strife, I wouldn't have learned this. I wouldn't have met this person. That every cloud has a silver lining. That indeed we are continually being planted and growing, evolving, and expanding. Just to share a short story with you, one of the darkest places I remember being in when I just emigrated with my family, my wife, and my one boy who would have been just over a year old. And we'd just been in Calgary, maybe 2 weeks at that. So all our family's back in the UK. I have no job here yet in Canada. And so I'm going through that challenge of trying to find some work, settling, finding a house. We don't know anybody here. So there were some challenges just with that situation going on. I'd actually started some it felt like it was voluntary work. It was a very small amount of pay. It wasn't going to help cut costs for what we were going to experience. And so I decided to move on from that. And so just all these challenges that were coming up. And then unfortunately, we had a miscarriage. And so it was very early on. It would have been about maybe 9 or 10 weeks into the pregnancy. And we obviously had an idea that that we were pregnant. But as far as the stage that my wife was at and so on and so forth, that wasn't clear. We were just getting settled. And that was going to be one of the projects that we get into right away, is to get her set up with a doctor and so forth. But unfortunately, that day never came. And so at a rush, we had to get paramedics. She was rushed to hospital, and they obviously had to do a surgical procedure. And it was certainly a sad time, tragic time. And my wife definitely experienced some depression from having had that happen, obviously to her body, but ultimately to have lost, a precious being that we had created, and we were wanting to expand our family. And so what got us through that at that time was nothing other than love. Our love for each other, our love for our son that was with us. And it was our love and support for each other that, although we were in a dark place, we were able to transform in time and realize that it gave us a planted opportunity to have children in the future, which we ended up having then another son. That would have been 2005, so it would have been 2006. Our middle son came into our lives, and 2 years later, we had twin boys. And so magical in how it turned around for us. What I'm trying to share with you in sharing that story with you is that we all have challenges in life. We all have dark places. And at the time, it feels like the darkness is never going to go away. If we can learn to have a different attitude, no matter what's happened to us in our life, these are in essence nothing other than experiences. Now, when I say that, nothing other, I know I've been there and I still continue to go there, that they feel very fixed, solid, and real to us. And so what we've got to shift is our mindset towards them. What's the package that we're putting this into, and how can we alter the way that we package that? Because we have to understand that there's going to be more challenges that we're going to face in life. Through Buddhism, I've learned that we all have to experience birth, sickness, aging, and death, having to part with what we like, having to encounter what we do not like, and failing to satisfy our desires. We continue through life to try and find happiness outside of ourselves. And temporarily we do find it, but with it comes so many challenges and problems that we need to support ourselves to understand that the real causes of happiness are within our mind, that we can somewhat have an influence, and we obviously have these conditions to experience and have some pleasures and wonders and happiness, but that ultimately real happiness is born from our mind. Remember, I shared this with you before, that where we're at right now with our results from our health program point of view is based upon our actions. Our actions are dictated by our feelings, and our feelings are spawned from our thoughts. Remember, when you change the way you look at things, the way things look change. And naturally, you'll have different feelings. Instead of unpleasant feelings now coming to your heart, coming to your mind, if you learn to transform your mind, now you can have pleasant feelings, peaceful feelings. And with that then comes naturally some different actions. Unpleasant feelings take us one way, and pleasant feelings take us a different way. And ultimately, they lead to different experiences or different results. Thank you for joining me. I hope you found that of benefit. Please share this with somebody that you know, somebody who you feel might benefit from this video, this podcast episode. If you've not had a chance, go to my website. On my website, I'm sharing with you a free digital copy of my new book, The 15-Step Playbook for Pain Relief. If nothing else, I highly recommend to download it and skip all of the chapters that I pieced together and just look at the front page of that chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth, because I've shared with you some powerful quotes. And in essence, that's the very nature of my book. I'm trying to help empower you. I'm trying to coach you. I'm trying to teach you through my experiences of 20 plus years in the industry of helping people transform their stress, their tension, and pain. What's the quickest ways to get to your end goal of having a happy, healthy, and vitalized body and mind? And that's what I'm doing with my book. So go download a copy of that. If you want to have the paperback edition, just go to Amazon and just look up the 15-Step Playbook for Pain Relief. And remember, I'm here because your muscle health is my #1 priority. Take care. We'll see you again tomorrow.